Hey everybody, this is John, and I'm back to do another video for you, and I'm doing another lake fly. This is a pattern that originated in the UK. It is called the nothing fly, and as you can see, there's not a whole lot to it. This is a surface fly intended to be fished on the surface. You can fish it either by itself or in tandem with a larger, more visible fly, and just let this thing sit in the surface. We're using poly yarn so it floats really well, and a light wire hook, which is the TM 2488, and it stays on the surface really well. Let's get started. Again, as I told you, this is a TM 2488 hook. This one that I have in the vise is a size 18. My thread is UTC 70 denier in black. I'm going to start that about a third of the way back on the hook shank and take it back to right where, I'm going to reposition that so you can see it, the barb of the hook would be. Now, what I'm using for the tail, the back, and the wing is black Wapsi polypropylene yarn. It's a lot easier to read than it is to say some days. Anyway, I'm using a very small amount of this. I've cut a 5-inch section off of the card and groomed it out, brushed it out with a big heavy brush, and then split it into thirds. So I've got a third of that yarn, and I'm going to take it and with about 3/4 of an inch in front of where my thread is hanging, catch that in. Let me get all the fibers instead of just some of them. Catch that in and let it rest right up on top of the hook, and then just wind it forward until I get to just forward of about 1/2 of the shank. You don't want to go too far because we're going to build a thorax here, and you want to make sure you've got plenty of room for that. Once I get my thread up there and get that bound to where I want to, I'm going to kind of jump back with one wrap, fold that forward piece of yarn back, catch it in with a couple of wraps, and then I want to take 2 wraps right behind the fold, and this is just going to secure everything really well. Take another wrap or 2 here, and then go all the way up to just behind the eye, and then come back. And for the thorax, we're going to use 1 strand, let me get a better strand than that, of green dyed peacock herl. Now this one's already a little bit short, doesn't have the tip. I like to cut it back about 1/4 of the way back so that the barbules are nice and long. Tie that in right here, bring it right back to where the fold was in the poly, and bring my thread back toward the eye. Now I don't want to put too much on here. I just want to give it enough so that it imitates the legs, and it's going to catch a lot of light. That peacock is just great about doing that. It'll catch a ton of light while it's sitting in the surface. And you see I only got about 5 wraps. 6 is about the max I want to put on a size 18 fly. I'll get that secured down there, and then I'm going to brush all of these fibers that are part of the wing, bring them over and make a wing case out of it. Lock that in with just a couple of turns, and then lift that, and you see you can move that back and forth. I want to move it to where I've got just enough room to finish the fly. Just take my little whip finisher here, pull that wing out of the way, and with this UTC thread you don't need any head cement because it's got enough stretch, and I put pressure on it, so that when you do that whip finish, it really locks down on itself. So, to cut the wing to length, I'm just going to fold that back to the back of my thorax, slide my scissors in there, and cut it off, kind of pull it forward and spread it out. I want it to be spread out like that. It's going to catch a lot of air. Now, this does not absorb water, this poly yarn, so that's going to catch a lot of air. It'll hold that air and keep that fly afloat. We've also got some here in the back, and I found it easiest to go ahead and cut that just a hair long and just cut it square. And now we're going to cut the taper by turning it around in the vise. I can get that little beggar in there. There we go. And kind of fan it out a little bit. And then just come in here. Be careful not to cut your thread abdomen, because the whole fly will fall apart on you. And I'm coming in and cutting to a taper. I don't want a whole lot of tail. We want a pretty sparse tail on here. I'm going to tease that just a little bit more. Give it one more clip. And that will do it. You can see there's not a whole lot to the tail. There's not a whole lot to the body. There's really just not much. And that is the nothing fly. I believe it's a fly that was designed by Alex Harvey of the UK. But it is an excellent fly for when chironomids are hatching, even when calabatus are coming off. The trout will really eat this thing up. So tie up a few, see how they do for you, and until next time, peace, love, and fly fishing, my friends.